Geolocation. Geolocation is the process of taking an IP and identifying the location behind it. How is this done? This is done by some programs that scan a bunch of things. You can scan the whois, the database of the domain names, but not always the information is there. You can scan multiple things and get the IP. Some people already did the work, so this means that if all you want to do is to translate an IP into the geolocation, then you would use one of the databases. One of the most famous ones is IPAPI, IP API, IPAPI IP API.is. So you see they have here the IPv4 geolocation. It's about half gigabyte, 500 megabyte. They have IPv6 geolocations. IPv6 is larger in general. We don't have that many networks, so it's smaller. With IPv4, you see they have it's location of networks actually right here. Let's read a little bit about this. We won't scan the whole thing, but we'll do some reading. Introduction. Geolocation is the process of mapping IP addresses to a geographical location defined by latitude and longitude. There are many use cases for geolocation intelligence that are demanded by online businesses and service providers. Targeted advertising allows advertisers to serve ads that are geographically relevant to users by knowing the approximate location of an IP address. Advertisers can deliver targeted advertisement based on the user's location, such as prompting local events, services, or products. Fraud detection and prevention. By knowing the geolocation of an IP address, unusual login attempts or unusual financial transactions can be detected and blocked. For example, if a banking account is normally used by an IP address from country A, and there is suddenly a login attempt from country B, the login attempt can be denied, or the user can be asked for additional verification. Content localization. Websites and apps often want to deliver localized content to users based on the user's location. Website can provide region-specific information, language preferences, or display prices in local currency. Digital rights management and compliance. Content providers use IP geolocation intelligence to enforce digital rights management, DRM policies, and regulations or restrictions. Those providers may restrict access to content based on the user's geographic location, ensuring compliance with licensing agreements and copyright restrictions. Another usage of geolocation is network security. IP geolocation plays a role in network security by providing insights into the origin of potential threats. Security systems can use IP geolocation data to identify and block suspicious IP addresses or implement access control based on geographic regions. Another usage of IP geolocation is analytics and insights. IP geolocation data can be valuable for analyzing user behavior and trends. Businesses can gain insights into where their customers are located, which can inform marketing strategies, expansion plans, and product development. So we've seen all the usages of geolocation, which is analytics, insight, network security, DRM, digital management, rights, content localization, for detection and prevention, targeted advertising, a lot of great usages. IP geolocation accuracy. Why is IP geolocation sometimes not accurate in general? In some cases, allocated IPv4 and IPv6 networks are distributed geographically, and thus one network can have multiple geographical locations. Furthermore, many networks are distributed geographically by design. Examples of such geographically disparate networks are mobile networks or satellite networks. For example, how exactly would you geolocate the IP ranges belonging to the satellite internet from Starlink from SpaceX? Find out yourself inspecting Starlink AS14593. It's on the space. Maybe in other cases, IP networks are reassigned or reallocated by regional internet registries or IP leasing. So they are reassigned, relocated. And the geolocation completely changes as soon as IP address is assigned a new owner. It turns out that the process of geolocating IP addresses is a complicated endeavor. However, the accuracy that can be obtained is too good to be ignored by any IP address API. How to build IP geolocation databases from scratch. Each IP address in the Internet is owned and administered by an organization. Regional Internet registries, such as ARIN or APNIC, store ownership information. When you register domain name, and then you say, this is, looks like IP addresses also registered. You say, who are you? However, who is records don't necessarily include geolocation information for allocated networks. Furthermore, organizations that own networks can use those networks in any geographical location they end up choosing. So while you registered it, you said the location, you can use it from different location. It's your IP. Even worse, those organizations can assign networks to any third-party organization or lease. So they can also lease the IP blocks to other entities who are located on a different location. Therefore, it is inherently tricky to geolocate IP addresses, and thus geolocation is often not accurate. Having said that, the task to find and collect geolocation information can be divided into 3 different subtasks, and I think with this we'll end. We'll see how do we get the IPs, geolocation, and that's it for now. So how do we get the geolocation? 1. Extract geolocation data from WHOIS records directly. WHOIS records often include direct geolocation information about IP addresses. WHOIS attributes such as geolog and geofeed can be used to derive self-published geolocation knowledge about IP addresses. 2. Interpolate geolocation knowledge from WHOIS records. Often it is impossible to derive and interpolate geolocation information from WHOIS attributes indirectly. For example, organizations that are administratively responsible for a network have to provide their postal address in WHOIS records. Sometimes this postal address is also the geolocation of the organization and networks, but not always. Consider open source geolocation projects. Many entities invest considerable resources into geolocation problem, and they provide their geolocation information for free. RIPE IP Map, GeoFeed Finder, and Open GeoFeed are good examples of such valuable open source projects. So we can see that we get multiple places. The geolocation. After compiling a raw geolocation database from the above sources, it may have incomplete or inconsistent records. Multiple sources of truth. The collected geolocation data may be incomplete since records with country and city information don't always include coordinates. Vice versa, sometimes raw records with geolocation coordinates don't have country and city information. If raw records only contain a country, this accuracy cannot be higher than on country level. Therefore, geolocation data needs to be enriched and transformed into a common format. This process is extremely important and is achieved by using open source geographical databases such as the ones from geonames.org or OpenStreetMap. Put differently, the data enrichment task is to either find the latitude and longitude for a given city or country. Per example, what are the coordinates for US San Francisco? And on the other hand, if only the latitude and longitude are given, task is to obtain the closest city for those coordinates. For example, what is the city and country for coordinates 52, 13? The next section describes all the major steps that are needed to follow in order to build geolocation database. Okay. For example, extracting the geolocation from the WHOIS records directly. Okay, so let's look if there is a table here. They extract some attributes from the database. So we see here an example of the database. We have here some INET internet address, and we have here country, DE. So we have, in addition to the IP network range, we have the geolocation, which we can get it. So this was a brief introduction to geolocation. You see, it's not strict one-to-one. There are multiple sources, multiple tables, open sources, and one of them is this open source IP API, IPAPI.